Yo, what's up, anime fans? It's your boy Raysean from the Raysean Gadson Anime Podcast, or ORGAP for short. And on today's episode, we're talking our top 3 favorite swordsmen, and also our top anime of winter 2024. And like most of my other episodes, we have a special guest. If that has grabbed your attention, then sit back and enjoy the ride. And don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you are listening. Before we get started, I want to allow my guests the opportunity to introduce themselves and also tell us your favorite anime ability.
Oh, okay. That's a cool one. I like that. So thank you, Raysean, for having me on. I'm Jamaal. I am now officially a part of the 950 Club Anime Podcast. They've been going on. Jack and Edwin started this back in 2021. And at that point, I was kind of like 85 South reference here. I was kind of like the Nav Green of the show. Like I would be the constant guest that's like kind of always there, but never like officially there. Yeah. And so, now at this point, my schedule actually lines up with the recording. So, season 3 moving forward, about halfway through season 2 up until now, I'm officially a part of that. And we just discuss, just different anime. We try to focus on, 2 different anime. We like to do deep dives into some more understated animes, but we also do our seasonal wrap ups. And lately we've done our, top 10 favorite anime of 2023. We had a number of guests on there, so we're still pumping those out. And I'm just glad to be on here with Raysean, man. He was one of the first people to like follow us and contact us and connect. And we've been talking about getting this podcast in for a while, and I'm glad we're finally able to get it together and record, man. So thank you for having me on.
For sure. Because we've been talking about it for a minute, and I remember some of the first like messages that we sent back and forth, and I like all the encouragement you sent me on some of my episodes and stuff like that. So I really appreciate that. But also, what anime ability would you want? What's your favorite anime ability?
Oh, man.
This can go from any anime. This kind of like a superpower technique. What would you want to have?
So, the one when you said that, the first thing that came to my mind was, Itachi Naruto. Okay. When he put Kabuto in the, was it the Izanami?
No, Izanami.
Yeah. When he put him in the loop.
Yeah.
And it was like, you cannot break this until like you
change your character.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, that's an incredible ability. Like, cause it's mental. Like there's no way you can block that.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are, what kind of abilities you have. Boom. I got you in it. You're stuck in this loop until you figure this one path out. That's insanely overpowered. And I love that ability. That's always stuck with me. Like more past the ability and more so like the life aspect of it. Like if you have these roadblocks in your life, like there is this way out, but you gotta go this way. And if you don't, this stuff is going to continue to happen to you. So like that would be the one ability that I would say. What would be yours?
My favorite like anime ability, trying to think about it like all over anime, because like I actually came up with one. It took me a second. I came up with the Hakai from Dragon Ball that basically erases anything from existence. Mm-hmm. I think that's probably one of the best abilities to have. Like if you could just have one ability and you just be like, nothing. There's really nothing. Yeah. So it's like I went with that route. Izanami, I think that's a interesting route to go, because it's almost like you only get 2 shots with it. So you literally got to pick 2 people. You like, bro, it's not you. You know what I mean? Like we didn't put you back on the right path. So I think that's it's a cool thing within itself, and the fact that you have to either make that change or you're going to be stuck like that for a while. So yeah. And I like the whole story, like when you get like the whole Kabuto backstory, and then you start to realize like this character is just really just a character who's been just he's like an adopted kid. You know, those kids that go to the adoption center, you'd be like, damn, which route are they gonna go? And he's just getting picked and thrown and all over the place. The point where he don't even know who he is till he gets hit with this, and he's literally probably one of the only few people who probably could have made that escape. Because even Orochimaru was like, "Oh shit!" I picked him for a reason. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely. Man, that was great. And of course, man, rest in peace to Toriyama, man. When I heard the news, the first person I thought of was you. So
man.
Definitely rest in peace to somebody that molded a lot of us and brought us into this incredible genre called anime.
Yes, and still leaving us some great works, because I've been watching some of the Sandland, and I think it's interesting, the story, like the storytelling in the route that you have like a king who's basically having all his water being like stolen, and then like the people actually have to rely on the demons to kind of unearth what's actually going on. And then I just thought it was an interesting story route for Toriyama to kind of go, when everybody's like, Toriyama stories aren't deep. They're not. I'm like, this is actually pretty deep. This is actually pretty deep.
I agree. Right here. It's deep. It felt like it felt a lot like I haven't finished it yet. I've only watched the first couple episodes, but it felt a lot like the Studio Ghibli films, like a Miyazaki film.
Yes, I I say the art is different, but like the whole tone, the story route of everything, yes, it's pretty much the same route. Which where I am actually surprised in the route that it's going, because I'm like, okay, because you think Toriyama, you kind of think like fighting, all types of things like that, but this is a pretty good story, so I like that. But
I agree with you. He's definitely not known for those sorts of stories, and so to see that side of him, it's just like, man. I mean, Dragon Ball was so huge. I know it took a lot of time, but it's like, man, maybe we would have got a little more of this if he would have transitioned away from it a little more. You know, so it's interesting to see.
Yeah, but Dragon Ball probably became such a big property that it's like, damn, I can't even do that. You know what I mean? People be like, this ain't Dragon Ball. What the fuck is this? Go have feelings? Whole different route of things. Yeah. But I appreciate that. Now back to our main topic of today. We're basically going to be talking about our top 3 swordsmen and why. I'm going to be honest with this topic. I literally just picked the top 3 I can think of at the moment right before we went on here, because I have changed this list so many times, and I still feel like I'm disrespecting people when I feel like there should be more people on this, but next time we're probably going to have to go like top 10, because there's a lot of people who deserve to be on here. But a lot of the people I picked on here is because they're just moments that I like about them. They're not in no particular like power level or anything. We can literally go from our number 1 to our number 3 in whatever order. We're just going to go back and forth. That's good with you?
That's fine. That's fine.
All right. Since you're the guest, I'm going to let you go first. You can start with your number 1 or number 3, whatever order you want to go.
Oh, man.
And why?
Like I kind of,
man, why?
Yeah, like I kind of feel like you. Like when you asked me this question, like I started thinking, and like you said, I kind of flipped back and forth on a lot of different things. But you know what I just came down to was, all right, when I think swordsmen in anime, who were the first 3 people that came to my mind? And there's going to be a lot of recency bias in this, and there's going to be some like culture bias. But one of the first ones that came to mind for me was Yasuke. Like watching Yasuke on Netflix, you know, the story of the first Black Samurai. And it was just, Keith Stanfield did a great job with the voice acting. I didn't necessarily care for the mecha aspects of the show, but just that story of a person, like there were real Black samurais back then. So just seeing that, I connected to it, and I was like drawn in from the beginning. And the fight scenes in that show was good. I trash Netflix a lot because I think they kind of pimp out anime in a way. But I was just really happy to see that show and to see it get, you know, a pretty decent push. So yeah, Yasuke, like when I closed my eyes and thought anime swordsman, that was one of the first ones I saw.
That's one I haven't seen. So that's something I need to look on Netflix. And like what you kind of said, like, it's like sometimes it'd be hard for me to watch Netflix shows because they do good with like the cover art. You'd be like, damn, I want to look at that. And you look at the anime and be like, who made this on their 2001 computer? Like, this
exactly
garbage. Like, yo,
exactly.
whoever creator signed off on this did not know this was happening. Because I would never do that. I would be like, oh, y'all fucked me over, man. It's like, no way we doing nothing else. But I'm about to look at that and see how that go. Because I mean, that whole storyline sounds pretty cool. It kind of sounds like Afro Samurai a little bit. Kind of what that
like a little bit.
Okay. Mm-hmm. When you kind of got like an actor from outside coming in, because I think Samuel Jackson was basically the Afro Samurai. So you say Lakeith Stanfield, that's from Get Out, right? I'm thinking, right?
Yes.
And that you just had a movie out too, that Jesus movie, but not Jesus, but fake. I don't know what the storyline was. But
I heard about that movie. I wanted to see it, but a couple people told me it's terrible. But
people in my church was like, "You going to hell if you watch that?" I'm like,
"Yeah, I heard that. I heard a lot."
I guess let me just take a step back. All right. Moving to my number 3. I think this was probably gonna throw some people off, but when I was thinking about it, I kind of wanted to be diverse with my picking. And I felt like this person, like at the time of when this anime was very popular, she was well known for what she did. So I'm gonna have to give my third one to Ursa Scarlet from Fairy Tail. Yeah. I think she was amazing. Just one of the strongest female characters we've seen in anime. I liked her ability to basically re-equip to any armor she needed and basically had the perfect sword to combat the person's abilities. And basically that was just her whole like fighting style and magic. So I pretty much fuck with that. I like the saying when you have her go against like the 100 monsters in the castles by herself, when she basically has to, I think she was number 1 and it was like, you had to defeat the most monsters or something. And she just was like, yeah, I'll take on the whole castle and basically defeated it. So I pretty much like Ursa ever since that moment. So I had to give her respects.
She definitely deserves respect. Like I never watched Fairy Tail because I'm like, Fairy Tail. You can watch that. But I've had people be like, "No, Fairy Tail is actually better than you think." And she's somebody that they show me clips of, because if people know me, they know that I've always liked strong female characters. Mm-hmm. Like it doesn't matter if it's a video game or TV show. I just love strong female characters. I always have, before all this Me Too and diversity stuff. So like they would send me clips of that, and I was watching her, and I'm like, "Oh, she's awesome." Mm-hmm. And so to hear that, and I did, little research and read articles where she's constantly mentioned as one of the stronger female characters that we've seen in anime, from like not just from a strength perspective, but from like a character development perspective. So I'm like, okay, this is good. So hearing that choice from you, that's awesome.
And the fact that she's always been seen as strong. She's never been like a damsel in distress type of person. She's always been like, I'm one of the main characters for a reason type of shit.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's good. Always like that, because sometimes we see anime all the time where you have the main characters, but sometimes the side characters you're just more connected to.
Yep.
So like I love seeing something like that.
Who's your number 2?
All right, so you already mentioned him, really. Afro Samurai.
Okay.
That was one of the first ones that came to my mind as well. I have them right here on my shirt.
Oh shit, yeah, I see it.
Really cool. Like I just remember like being I think I was around a teenager when they came out, and like Toonami was like hyping it up, and it was like Samuel L. Jackson. I'm Samuel L. Jackson, I'm in. And then it was like Afro Samurai, and you had the RZA on the soundtrack. So you had that Wu-Tang already had that feel to it. So just the whole combination of all that, I was immediately invested from the beginning. And we got like 5 episodes, and I'm like, this is it. Come on, man. Come on. Give me some more. But then we got the Resurrection movie later. So that was cool. But just seeing the whole story of him just trying to avenge his father's death and having to go through everybody to get to number 1. And, that story is such a fun story that you could, that you kind of get behind. It's kind of like that Goku Dragon Ball Z feel. Like, I just got to get stronger. I got to get better. That like always resonated with us. And so seeing that, and it's like, I'm going to avenge my dad. And that also made me happy from a cultural perspective. Just because of, not to get too deep here, but the whole idea of Black men and not being fathers to their kids or whatever And just to see, even though unfortunately his dad was taken from him at a young age, just to see that connection where the son is fighting to avenge his dad, that was just something that really stood out to me even at that age. So you add that combined with the awesome voice acting performances, Samuel L. Jackson, the incredible fight scenes. It was just something that when I think of swordsman, it's that. He's coming with the sword. You got other people that's coming with other things. That's got guns and everything. I got my sword. Let's go. That's all I need. And so Afro Samurai absolutely is another one that'll be my number 2.
I gotta respect that. That was a great anime. I remember watching it. It was short, 5 episodes. I mean, the sword fighting in that, I don't think I've seen it matched anywhere really. Well, I'm not gonna say not matched, but it's the way they done the sword fighting, how cruel and it was. I mean, it was pretty good, and especially to see the main character be a black character and be that good, it was amazing to me. So that was probably the first time I've ever really seen that too. So I got you props on that one.
Absolutely. And I do love a brutal, bloody mess sometimes.
When the story was like that, it had to be, you know what I mean? And it really understands the mood of how the character is feeling. Because, a lot of times we get to see our main character and as a clean slate, or we don't get to see their full emotions displayed until these emotions when they're actually fighting, and you actually get to see some of that rage come off the surface where you're like, damn, I never thought this would be the type of guy that just go straight to cut your head off. But this is the character we got. So that's who we are.
That was awesome.
Moving on to my number 2, this was hard because I felt like this anime is a lot of different sword fighters, and depending on which part of the anime, I feel like you probably kind of switch him around. But from the beginning of the anime, I like this character. To me, he stole the show. And in the most recent last Demon Slayer arc, this character low-key kind of stole the show for me. So I had 2 people on this rank. My first one has to go to Zenitsu. I feel like he comes off cowardly. You're like, damn. I'm really not a person that like whiny characters.
Me neither.
They never really worked for me. But in these moments where this man passes out and literally turns into like a god, like to me, when you're questioning if he should be a Hashira when he comes into these moments, because it's like he's straight beast, especially for a personality knows one technique. Like that's really just using the same one technique, but it's fucking a monster with it. The second person I had to give it to is the Miss Hashira. I think the Miss Hashira, I can't figure out how to pronounce his name for the love of me, but the Miss Hashira is a fucking beast to be the youngest, and like he was able to kill an upper moon by himself. Feel like this really tagged back to the last arc we had the entertainment district, and you had like 4 or 5 people trying to beat the lowest.
Right.
You know what I mean? And this dude like literally took him out by himself at 14. So I was like, yeah, you gotta get this dude his props at that. He was fucking monster in that whole fight. So I'll give it to Demon Slayer, these 2. I kind of don't want to put Tanjiro on there because I feel like there's moments where Tanjiro is like, okay, Tanjiro's a beast. But there's also other moments where I'm like, main character, But,
yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Like Tanjiro, I think we all know he's going to end up being like the strongest character in the show. And he definitely has his moments, but it's like Zenitsu, like when I think of Zenitsu, I think of like how they always say, with athletes, like 85% of it is mental or 95% of the game is mental. Mm-hmm. And he's like the epitome of that. It's all mental. He has all the ability in the world, but there's that mental block in him. But like when he's like knocked out or asleep and that mental block is gone, the beast comes out. So when you get that thunderclap and flash, it's over. It's over.
Because he was literally like, it be moments like in that entertainment district when he's fighting like one of them, you be sitting back like, bruh, the only thing stopping this guy is literally not being able to do this when he's conscious. Because literally that whole time, I think he was asleep that whole season. But he was
the whole time.
He was able to talk confidently. Oh man, he's really mastering that state. So I give him his props. I fucks with Zenitsu. And Also, I think we should give props to I can never think of the demon they went against, Guy Toro, and the Sound Hashira. The Sound Hashira, because they little back and forth little fight they had for a second before everybody jumped in. That was peak. That was peak Demon Slayer right there, because he was giving it his all right there.
That was incredible. Like Demon Slayer, it's such a good show. Like the Swordsman Village was really good, but it was like, if you are a battle junkie, the show is like hitting the stride for you. Yeah. Because like you said, like entertainment, like it was that struggle with just like those two really moons, like him and his sister. It was that struggle, and they were all of them are giving their best. And this one is just like, we're throwing all sorts of upper moons at you. It's just one after another. It's just one after another. And it's like, you have to level up really quickly. And it was like, all right, we can't even have a Zenitsu in Inosuke in this, because
that was the crazy thing about the sword thing, because it makes you like,
levels here.
What are they doing right now? I want to see if they're going to be able to match up with Tanjiro at the end of that, because the Swordsman arc was good. I give it, because I mean, it was like 2 or 3 upper moons they had to fight in that one. And then you got to say the Love Hashira, she was a beast too. You got to give her props. But I think what killed that is like at the end, because I don't know how Demon Slayer keep doing it, but they keep like getting great endings, and just have that ending when you just have Nezuko like basically sacrifice herself to help Tanjiro, and then you figure out the end that she figures out how to beat the sun, and then like you have Muzan fucking going horny or wherever the fuck he at and kills everybody, and fucking like finally out of all these like lifetimes and centuries I've been sending all you random niggas out to find the one thing I've been trying to get, it's finally here. So like, to be honest with you, I kind of have a feel of what this. I think this is supposed to be the Ashura training arc they about to go into. I'm really waiting for whatever moves I'm about to do. Like I kind of read the manga, so I know where route is going. But it's like you gotta think this man is ready to kill everything. He's finally ready to get to where he wants to be. So, and the one thing I will say, because it took me a while to notice, because I didn't know this when I first did my research into this. Demon Slayer, when they do their sword techniques and stuff, the things we visually see, like the fire and the water stuff, that's not actually happening when they're fighting. So it's like, man, they're really up against some bullshit. Like, if you like just fighting sword techniques against some blood demons that don't fucking die, like only thing you got are breath techniques. It's like, I don't know. But you know, but I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool, man. I'm the one thing I'm disappointed in Demon Slayer with is the way they are like pimping out the movies. Like the first movie that they did was perfect because we got the season, and then they gave us fresh content going into the new arc. And now they're just like, we're going to give you the last episodes in the first episode. And it's like, the stuff is already movie quality when it's streaming. If you want to give me the last 2 episodes in the first, just don't even stream the last 2 episodes. I will go to the movies to watch it, but I am not going to go to the movies to watch it again.
To rewatch it, then just to get to because that, I'm gonna be honest, it killed me. I think the last movie they got me like that, because I was like, what the hell? I swear I see it. Are they redoing this? Is this a different version of this? And that's so crazy, because I mean, even if you do the train thing, I mean, they made a movie and then they literally made a season right after it. So it's like, I don't know, they really not doing the movie situation real well. Because at least My Hero, they taking a different route. So like, you know what I mean? The fucking movies aren't connected to the show at all. I mean, Dragon Ball a little bit does it with the manga, but it's
they think Dragon Ball kind of does it, like at least especially with the last movie. Like they did the movie, but they're tying the movie into it, to make in it. That's fine. I'm fine with that. I'm not fine with the cash grab. Like I did not see the last movie, but like I had a couple people see the last movie, and they said they even put the credits in the movie. Like they open it and they close the credits. I'm like, oh god, you didn't even cut out the credits? Get out of here.
Man, they is not playing. They like, if it's making money, send it out. Why not? I mean, I feel them with that. But moving on to our number one. Who's your number one?
Okay, so number one, I gotta give it up. Like I said, I like the strong female protagonist. And so my number one is going to be Mikasa Ackerman from Attack on Titan. I had to put her in it. It was tough between her and Levi, but from day one, Mikasa was always kind of my number one. But like I said, I just have a thing for strong female protagonists. And just you feel the heartbreak for her because you know that connection that she had with Eren, but she knew she had to be the one to put him down. It had to be her. And another thing that I value in a hero, and this is why I hated Avengers Infinity War so much, was because I need a hero that can make the tough choice. And she made the tough choice. Like, look, this isn't going to end until Eren dies. I got to take him out. And I love heroes that are willing to make that tough choice and may have to sacrifice themselves to make that choice. But that's what a hero does. So I love that about her, man. She was skilled. She was smart. She was a good motivator. Like I just loved her whole character and her progression. And I'm glad that we got an ending that was befitting of her. Glad we got an ending that was befitting of her, despite Attack on Titan, like part 3, part 4, part 2, and all that nonsense. But
I guess they just did not know what they wanted to do with it. But I guess it's like, we want to make sure we get out the best content we can. I'll give you props for that. If that's what your mindset with it, I give it. I will say she was an amazing character. I mean, from the beginning. I mean, she was always seen as one of the stronger ones out of the 3, and literally stayed the strongest one out of the 3, even without having to get a Titan inside of her. So, I mean,
right.
She has shown moments where it's like, you don't want to see, it's those characters where it's like, you don't want to see what happens when they are bloodlusted. You want to see when they're like emotionally unstable, because those are the characters that you don't want to see. And she was one of them because she has had some crazy moments in the anime. You said something interesting. You said something about the Infinity War. Is that the that's the one where they like beat Thanos, ain't it? Or is that the one before?
That's the one before where Thanos like did the snap. So I hated that movie because every time people they wouldn't do it. Like Scarlet Witch is like, oh no, I love Vision, and he's like, kill the stone. I gotta take the L. I'm just a robot anyway. Kill the stone, and he won't have all the stones, and this is over. She wouldn't do it. Star-Lord, when Thanos is going after Gamora, she's just like, you gotta let me go. I'm sorry, you gotta let me go. He cannot get the stone. No, I love you. I can't do it. He gets the stuff. Like, it happened like 3 times in that movie, and each time I'm like frustrated. I'm sitting through this 3.5-hour movie, just mad that they're not making the hero's choice. You all had 3 chances to stop this, and you didn't do it for your own selfish reason. Half of humanity died because of one selfish decision. That's awful. That's not a hero. That's not a hero to me. But I'm also like brutal. So
see, I feel like what you're asking for is right, especially for like a hero standpoint. You want them to be a hero and make these hard decisions. You basically asking them low key kind of be Batman. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I'm gonna do what it takes to get the job done, low key. But then you have that thing that like that human emotion, you know what I mean? Where people get outside the aspects, and now it's like love coming to the play. And that's when I always tell people, that's when you really gonna see how heroic a person is. When it's them, when it's someone in their family versus a random stranger. And if they can literally save someone other than their family versus that stranger, that's when you can really say, you know what I mean? Like, yes, but it's like, that's a hard decision to make. Cause like, even myself, I couldn't make that decision. I mean, if it's my kid versus your kid, I'm sorry, we're going to your kid's funeral. Like I'm not. Yeah, it's going to be hard for me to even look myself in the self and be like, I did the most heroic thing in that moment, and that was to save the other person's kid. Like that, I don't know. Moving on to our next.
I get it. Look, man, I'm glad I don't have to be a hero. I'm glad I don't have to be a hero. Because then I'd have to put my money where my mouth is.
And that's when the motherfuckers be like, you know what? Maybe I am a hypocrite.
Yeah, if it's 1-on-1, it's like I gotta choose mine if it's 1 against 1. But if it's like 1 against 100,000, then it's like, all right, I gotta think about this a little more. But yeah, you're absolutely right, man. That human emotion aspect is a huge, huge component of it, and I understand that. But be brutal if you have to. You have to embrace this.
That's why you low key always want that one hero in the bunch.
Yeah,
that's like willing to do that thing, even though they always looked at like, okay, they're a little extra, but you need that one hero that's what. Like Batman for like the Justice League is that one hero. He's gonna take that motherfucker in the back and do whatever he do. They might ask him questions like but when Batman interrogate him, it ain't the same way. You know what I mean? You need that type of person. That's one thing that I don't like is when you be saying situations like that and you be like, y'all not even interrogating them like y'all want the information. You know what I mean? Like, man, y'all need to pull out what y'all was doing back in the day. Like, cut the cameras off. Like, that's how you gonna get them. You be like, hey, cameras off real quick. We'll show them what that's in. But moving on to my number one, I had to pick somebody I thought this is probably the one character I did pick on power because I feel like anytime you see this character, he just shows power. And the first time we actually got to see him in action, full action, was amazing because I've never really gotten to see this person actually move. Because usually when you see him in this anime Bleach, he's basically always just shown. When situations get big, he always just step up. Like, you want it. Most people always back down. Like, he never really gets a challenge. And I have to give it to my man, Head Captain Yamamoto. Head Captain Yamamoto.
You're going in that direction. Yeah, you're going in that direction. It's great, boss. I've never seen a character shown with such respect as this character. Where we've never really seen this man fight, but it will go down if you just the fear he puts in people and the fact that just his sword release, everything in the world turns into ash. Like, it's just, you already know this man is about to be killer. And then when we finally get to see him in action later on in the new version of Bleach that's going on with the 1,000-word blowout arc, when you finally get to see this man Bankai and you're like, okay, this is why he couldn't just pull this bitch out. But if he did pull it out at any time in any of these other arcs, he would have low-key handled the situation. That's sometimes the thing you be like, well, he didn't just pull that out when he was fighting Isis. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, well, show us why you the head captain real quick. I mean, he did give him a little bit, you know what I mean? But if he would have pulled that bitch out, it's over. Like, you know what I mean? But his fight with Yuabak was, well, I guess the fake Yuabak was pretty good. We got to see all the versions of his Bankai. Has probably one of the strongest Bankais I ever seen. Literally could have destroyed the whole Soul Society if he left it on open for too long. Fact we didn't get to see it used against the real Yuabak is the interesting thing because I really want to see if they would have been like powered up. Like if that fight was a good example of how that fight would have been. Because we got to see Yuabak come in like fully like recovered, rested, and Yamamoto then just pulled out his Bankai and like stressed his body out. So you don't really get to see what it would have been right there. But the fact that Yuabak hit him with like, man, you let them niggas cut your arm off. Okay. You wouldn't even have had no problems, bro, if you wouldn't have went this route. But man, I thought that was one of probably the best fights I've gotten to see. Captain Yamamoto there. Absolutely, man. I was waiting on the Bleach to come in. I'm like, there's got to be Bleach in this top 3 somewhere. You got to be Bleach. And then, the crazy thing is, like, I've never been a huge Bleach fan. So, like, I watched Bleach, and, like, one of my best friend, Tony, rest in peace, he was a huge Bleach fan. And so I tried to get into it, and I'm like, it's cool. I think it was like all the filler that kind of got to me and some of the like silly stuff. But when it got serious, it was really good. But like this 1,000-year blood war has been great to me because I'm like, they kind of got rid of the silly stuff and this like, we're just down to business now. Yeah. And that's when get me locked in. That's when you get me locked in. And so, yeah, dude, that fight with the head captain, and that was one of my favorite fights of that year. It was incredible. When he pulled out that Bankai, I was like, oh yeah, I see why people feared him now.
Man.
Like,
and it's
like you
crazy.
That's man. Like the speculation is sometimes you get that hype and that like mysticism and it's like,
and he lived up to the hype.
Exactly. And it's like when you see that boxer that has that, but then once they get knocked out, like they kind of lose that like aura that they had, and now they just get chopped down left and right. Like it's like, all right, is it going to be one of those situations? And it was like, no, he lived up to the hype. You lived up to the hype. I can't bring this out because everybody's gone if I do.
And it was literally affected everybody. I just like, I like that the Bleach 1,000-Year Blood War gave you a different version of him. Because from Bleach, he was always stern. The situation never really it really affected him.
Yeah.
Then when you get the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, these Quincy's then came and killed one of his homies. Now it's like, oh, all bets is lost. This man wants to fight today. Like, this is the only time I've ever seen like Yamamoto, like, where is they at? Like, we need to know where they at today type shit. And the fact he literally, as soon as they came in to the Soul Society, usually he's always in the back letting everybody else fight. They out there. He ready. Just scrape caveman like a scrape ball. So you gotta give him his props. I liked it, but it's crazy to see like, dang, like that whole situation did give us a whole different type of Yamamoto, showing that, emotions can affect any character, even the characters that show less emotions, because those be the characters you'd be afraid of. Because I mean, if Yamamoto literally was able to do what he wanted to do, like if that was Yubak, the first person he was fighting, they would have won.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was ready for it, man.
Yeah.
So
and he pretty much acknowledged that too. Once the real Yubak came out, he pretty much acknowledged like, okay, you would have got me.
Shit would have worked. I mean, he really was like, especially if he would have, if Yamamoto would have kept himself, like, got his arm recovered and everything, he was like straight hard to deal with. He would have been a monster. Mm-hmm. Especially if he could have, if he was able to really figure out that wasn't Yubak that he was fighting in the beginning with, and was able to save some of his power. Oh man, it would have been a nasty little match right there. Because I mean, but then it's kind of hard though, because then when you start to get more into the lore, and then you think he did beat Yubak before, right? But that was when he didn't have the Almighty, and Yubak got it now, so it's kind of like, because I heard the next season we about to see some crazy shit what the Almighty can do. So that's going to be nasty. But going in kind of to the next part of our conversation, we're basically talking about some of our favorite anime of winter 2024. I'm going to go ahead and kick it off with the Apothecary Diaries. I thought this anime has been pretty good. It's kind of different. It's not like your typical shoujo. It has that element into it, but you have like a girl who's really good with pharmacies, basically solving some of the stuff that's happening within the castle and basically seeing the route in that. It's actually pretty good story. I literally read the manga before this came out, and like the whole time period of this being like in the Emperor's Palace and everything. And it's pretty cool because I mean, literally her knowledge of just pharmacy is what's keeping her from literally being like a slave, because literally that's the situation she's placed in, but her knowledge is literally helping her uncover all this different stuff, to like why the kids are being poisoned, to the fact that like nobody else knows this, and like you have doctors and everybody but she's able to figure this out. And then like it's pretty cool show.
Yeah, I love that show, man. I love that show. I think that's going to be a strong contender for anime of the year. Mm-hmm. Like you said, it's a very interesting show because this is a show that takes place in China. So it was really interesting. I love the show. I love the little back and forth between her and oh my God, his name is slipping my mind right now. The purple haired dude.
No, I can't think of his name either.
I can't. I'm so bad. I'm getting old, man, because I'd be forgetting stuff that I know. But I love their little interaction, their little cat and mouse game, because they're always kind of like trying to one up each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I love just how like we're kind of uncovering things about both of their paths.
Yep.
And it's slowly uncovered, because like you said, when I first watched the show and she gets stolen, she's like solving crime. I'm like, oh, okay, this is like, is this like CSI? Solving, like at first she's like a apothecary, she knows about poisons and everything, and now she's solving this little, okay, the babies, okay, and then solving this little thing like, okay, these people are being poisoned, but then it's like she's unraveling more things about the kingdom in general, and then we see about her past and who her real dad is and her real mom and what happened to her, and then you see the purple haired dude who I can't remember, and we're starting to get more of his past. And she's starting to realize he's more important than she thought. She thought this was just a dude, the pretty boy that was just kind of like doing whatever he wanted to do.
Type shit. Yeah,
exactly. And she's starting to realize, like, oh no, this dude really is somebody. And not only that, this dude he really has my back. He's really looking out for my best interest. Because I mean, you know, in that episode, what was that, episode 20 or whatever, when she's like trying to get to trying to get into the temple to stop, you know, the impending assassination, and she's beat on the steps and everything, and you know, she opens the door and sees that it's him, and it's like, oh wow. And that was a shock to her, because she had to go through her real dad to get there. She needed his help. And then when she sees who she was stopping to assassinate, getting assassinated, it's like, oh wow, who is this guy really?
Yes. And I like this place after he see like, damn, she went through all this just to get to me. Like, damn, y'all really do all this to a female? Like, that's why I'd be like, man, the old times was not a time I'm willing to go back to. Cause
not at all. But it's interesting too, because you really get a good hint at the history, end of the history of what was going on back in those times. That was really awesome too.
You get to learn more about croissants and stuff like that. And that whole culture, prostitution culture back then and all that, them having to buy out people and stuff like that. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I like anime is able to talk about topics like that.
Yeah.
Any anime your favorite right now?
See, that was one of those, like that was one of those that like continued on from the fall season.
True.
It's so like, when you ask me this question, I'm like,
you didn't even think about that.
A lot of my favorites from winter are continuations from fall. So like that was one, the Shangri-La Frontier I love, because that one continued on from fall. Free and Beyond Journey's End continued from fall, and Undead Unluck continued from fall. So all of those got like 24 episodes and were continuations from fall. And it's like, we really don't see a lot of that in these times, because usually now the thing is we'll give you 12 and then we'll give you the second half later. And so like to see these 4 shows like continue straight through, so you get that straight story progression, that was a fun change of pace for me. So yeah, like I said, Freeing, Beyond Journey's End, amazing. Another anime of the year contender.
And the whole concept of that show is so interesting. It's literally like going from an elf's life perspective, and the fact that, you know, she outlives majority of the people that she's going to meet, and then going back on that journey and stuff like that. It's such an interesting route to go. I remember when I literally started reading that manga like a few months ago before the anime came out. And I was like, this is an interesting story. I wonder if they ever animate this. And then it's literally, they animated it, and you sit back like, yeah, I know a good story when I'm reading it, because they are killing it every episode.
Oh yeah. It's so good, man. When I first watched it, and like you said, the concept is so interesting, because usually the journey is kind of like the anime.
Yep.
You know, but this show, it's like the journey is over. It's over. The show is about afterwards. And like you said, this elf that has to live this life. And a point that I made in the episode where we were discussing this was like, it's like that burden of immortality.
Yeah.
Like everybody likes thinking the idea of being immortal and everything, but how do you deal with that when you're outliving everybody? Like her concept of time is so different. Yeah. Because like, you know, for us, like if you live 100 years, it's like, man, you've lived a long life. Yeah. But for her, it's just like, you
just begin
from the shoulders.
You still in your prime, 100 years.
Exactly. I think they made a point in the show at one point where she was like, you know, she was talking to Himmel and Eisen, I think, and so yeah, at some point I remember she was talking to Himmel and Eisen about time, and I think Eisen she remarked that, like, you know, they were talking about time, and I think they mentioned like 100 years, and she was like 100 years isn't even 1% of my life. And so it's just that concept of time. And so you see these little things like as she's flashing back and trying to learn more about humans, because that first episode when Himmel dies, she starts to break down and cry because she's like, I really didn't know him. And so this whole journey her is, you know,
kind of go back and relearn
and connect with people, because she never really did that, because like we said, she's immortal essentially.
What's the point?
So it's like it's difficult. And I love how in this show the like barometer of time is Himmel's death. And I think that shows like the big impact that he had on her, because it's like 80 years after Himmel's death, blah, 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 after this, after that. It's not like when the Demon King dies, it's not after this big event, it's after Himmel dies. So that part of the show, it's so important. And I love this show. I think right now it's like number 1 on my anime list or something. And it's well deserved.
It's been killing. I mean, the action, just every aspect of the show is pretty good. And the fact that the way they're going at it, from like immoral, not even immoral, she just have like a long lifespan, just that the route they're going with it. Because a lot of times those people do go the route of not really learning or trying to be real personable with people, because it's like, what's the point? I'm going to just lose you. I'm going to get all these like emotions for you for no reason. So you get a lot of those situations. But for her to basically go this opposite route where she's kind of like, let me go back and kind of figure out who these people were and why their lifespans are different, and it's a whole cool route of a show to go. And it hooked me in the first few episodes. I actually need to go back and completely finish it. I wanted to finish it in English. Some other shows that I've been watching right now, if we're particularly talking about like right now, I had to give it to Solo Leveling.
Yes,
that show is interesting. I feel like it's following the sort of concept where we take like this awkward type of main character in the beginning, and then we change them to this ultimate powerful, crazy type of person 2 or 3 episodes within, where you're sitting back like, is the cover of the main character even the same character? Like, that's not who he hasn't been that character from episode 1 type shit. It's a whole other character right now. But the whole show is pretty cool. I like the whole isekai type of vibes from the show. I like that it's basically a route where he's supposed to be the weakest, but it's a whole nother aspect to what's going on, in which I hope that low-key gets more talked about and like uncovered, because that's interesting. I think it's crazy that they don't really talk about how like he's the only person with that. But I don't know if that's just because I haven't read the manga or it's need more to it. So it's probably a lot more. I heard it's some stuff that they even skipped from just the episodes we've seen right now that will really change our opinions on some things that's been happening. So literally, I wish I could go back and read this manga, but it's a manga, or no, it's like a web comic. And I just can never get into those the same way I can get into like black and white manga. I don't know what it is.
I get it. I understand. So I was excited for this show because one of my former coworkers named Kyle, like he would come up to me every day and he was like, you need to read this. You need to read this. You need to read this. And then one day he just brought the first light novel to me. It was like, here, read this. And so I read it, and it was good. And as you said, there were things that they left out that was in the manhwa or whatever they call it. But it was adapted into the light novel, and I enjoyed that a lot. And yeah, they do later on explain more of how the dungeon system works and who he is and why he is the way he is. That's just going to take a little time. But it read better than the show came out. I think the show is visually stunning. I think the fight scenes are awesome. It's bright, it's vibrant. But I think some of the story elements isn't quite aligned with how well the light novel was written.
Okay.
And that's kind of why I don't like to do both. I either I generally just like to watch the anime or read, because I when I do both, I'm usually disappointed. So, and I learned this from books and movies and everything. So,
especially those things you read in the book, you're like, damn, I want to see this animated. Yes. Then they skip it, and you're like,
yeah,
fuck, like you
downplay it. Yeah. So, but yeah, I like this show a lot. I've seen some people give it some hate, but I think this show is really fun. And, the manga it's also beautiful. Like it's costly. It's definitely costly. Because they're in full color. The paper that they use is thicker than, the normal manga papers, is a bigger size as well. So it's costly. I think they're like $20 a piece. But those look really good as well. But I tell people at this point, with how fast they're pumping out the episodes, it's easier to just read the light novels. You'll get more information, because I think they've already gone through the first 3 volumes of the manga already. So but they're a little difficult to find. I will tell you. I live like across the street from a place called Mitsuo Marketplace, and they're cool. They're kind of like, I kind of describe it as it's kind of like a Japanese Sam's Club, but a little smaller. Because they got like their grocery store, and then they got their food court. But then over there, they also have like a bookstore that has a lot of figures, and they have a huge manga wall and stuff. They got like a little Japanese bakery, the little gachapon things. Like they got all that stuff. So like I always go over there, because I used to work at a bookstore. So like Edwin and I and Jack and I, we all met at the bookstore that we worked at. And so like when Edwin would try to order manga, he wouldn't be able to get it. And I'll just go across the street and be like, oh, it's at Mitsuo. And so when he first went there, and he would see like, whatever manga was popular at the time, he's like, they have like 30 copies. I can't get this. And so he would get back, and he's like, they're hoarding all the copies. I can't get it. So I always go over there to like grab stuff. And like the Solo Leveling light novels, they were completely out of 1 and 2. The Freeing manga, they were out of the first few. Like you can't, like the stuff that's hot right now, they were out of. And I'm like, okay, that's a telling sign, because they usually have everything. So
it's really getting popular. So that really shows you got to get it from Amazon.
Yeah, exactly. I gotta go to the devil Amazon.
Is there any other anime right now you want to talk about?
Yeah, absolutely. I could do this all day.
Let's get 2 more.
Unwanted Adventurer.
Unwanted Adventurer. Okay.
The Undead Unwanted Adventurer. That one is a legitimate like fall winter release, and I just kind of watched I just kind of clicked on it. I'm like, Crunchyroll, okay. Because I'm in this thing now. Like I kind of like want to watch something from each of the streamers.
Okay, that's it.
I was like, okay, I'll click on this, and I was pleasantly surprised by this show. I've really enjoyed it. This is more of a straight fantasy. So there's has the kind of dungeon thing to it. There's an adventurer, and he goes into this dungeon, and he runs into this monster, and he ends up getting killed. Yeah, he ends up getting killed, and you're like, okay, so is this an isekai or whatever? And no, he's just not. He awakens, he opens up, and he's like undead. He's like skeleton and everything. And you're like, oh, okay, what is this? And it just continues on, and he kind of, as he gets stronger and progresses in this dungeon, he kind of evolves into these different life forms. So now he's kind of evolved into this like vampire type life form.
Yeah.
Where he kind of has to rely on the blood of one of his friends to like satiate his need to kill people to get their blood. But it's a really good anime, man. He just wanted to be the best. He just wanted to be like a S-rank adventurer, and he was never that good. He was always like D.
But I didn't like the knowledge and everything to be like A-rank stuff. But
yes, and that was the great part about it. Like, he didn't really realize how valued he was to the community.
Yeah,
like everybody loved this guy because it's like, hey man, you like anybody that had questions, you showed them the ropes. You helped them when they were, struggling with the exams. Like,
and the fact that everybody trying to figure out where he was, like for the longest, they like, where this nigga at? Like, we got new adventures coming on. Like, it's crazy. But I like that story too. That's literally I feel like every anime that's came out right now, I literally read the manga. Then it came out. So this one was actually pretty interesting to actually see it done in an anime format, where you basically get to see him start off as human, that's pretty weak, has this goal. He wants to be like at the top class, S rank. We say, I think it's a different ranking system, but we're gonna say S class.
Yeah, I think they do F. I think they do F through S. Yeah,
but
wants to be S.
That's like his main goal. But like he can't get there. He gets hit with like going into a normal cave that should be normal, but out of nowhere, this dragon comes and kills him. So he's like the skeleton, the basic monster. So he has to go from that to get to like a ghoul, to get from ghoul to get to, I think it was a vampire, like a vampire, the first form of them, to get to like because the main goal for him is to get to more human form. Like, he wants to get to a form where he can walk around in public and nobody's looking at him like, what the fuck? But the interesting aspect of it, though, is those people who do see like the monster forms of him and able to get just those small little bits of information from him to realize who he was, and the fact that they're still like, you know what, I wish he would just tell us what happened, like so we could be like, oh man, no matter what's going on with you, we will still be here with you, type shit. Because like you got the people with the sword people who were making the swords, and they were literally able to figure out who he was after their first meeting. Then you got the girl from the at the guild. Basically, I think it took her like a few times, but she was like, you know what? you giving me a feel of a motherfucker I used to know, type shit. It's just interesting. And then I like the whole fact where he's like, you know what? Too many people trying to like getting to know who he is. He's like, I just go. I'll leave. I ain't trying to cause some problems. And they like, hell nah, nigga. We need you. We wish you was still here.
We need you now.
Like, you know what you was doing for us, man? We got to do our jobs now.
He was taking on missions that other people wouldn't take on.
Yeah, just to help people get through it. Like, even the girl he's like with right now, like, I can't tell if they together, but friendship is one of the weirdest type of like relationships they got, because you could say they together, but then it's like they might just be friends type shit. But
to me, it seems like she has some feelings for him, but I think he's just older and he just doesn't see her that way. That's the type of thing I get from it. Like, I think if he wanted to be with her, she would definitely be accepting. I think he's closer to, I think he has more of a romantic thing with the guild girl than he does with the educator. But I think the educator like definitely has a thing for him because what is that? The savior's complex thing, because he saved her that time. Mm-hmm. I think there's that connection there too. But I think I was gonna say he's too goal oriented. Yeah, I think he's too goal oriented, and I think it's telling when he decides, when like she's like, you need to take on a new name, and he uses her last name because he's staying with her, and she's like, why would you do that? And he's like, well, I wanted to, I said like I'm your cousin, like a family member, because I don't want people to look down on you with having that strange dude staying with you. So I think that was like telling of how he values her, but not as like a romantic interest.
I didn't want them to think I was the one with you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
All right, going on to my last one I want to talk about, because this is actually probably what you were talking about, a fall anime that kind of ran into winter. But this one, it literally took me a long time to even try this anime out. I think this anime is pretty cool. I need to go back and finish it. The dub part of it's been like not catching up for some reason. It's like The only anime I see where it's like 10 episode difference. I'm like, damn, like what's going on with that? Ragnar Crimson. That show is pretty interesting. It kind of follows the concept of what almost every anime right now is going with, where you have like this character come off as weak in the beginning, and then you have this moment where he just can become the strongest. And this one is actually a little different, where you have his future self coming back to his past self to give him back that power to basically stop all the situations that makes him have to go become the strongest, low key. This anime has some great moments in it. It's literally a moment in the anime, because I don't know if you've seen it, but like I
have not seen it yet, but
I'm going to sell this anime a little bit to some people real quick. It's a scene where because this whole anime is about going against these like eternal dragons. They like the strongest things in the universe. They doing their own shit, right? So you have this character who's the main character. I just told you his past self comes back. He's like a whole new character, right? Before this, the dragons, they were terrorizing people. Whatever they did, they just basically did out of nowhere. Man, when I tell you, this guy literally pissed the fear in like the number one dragon and literally like the 10th episode with just the amount of, when I tell you the rage the future self had because all the shit he had to go through to like when they actually fight, and you see the moment, because she has this ability where she can like stop time and like everything just stops. And the moment like when she stops time and she's like walking off like, okay, everything's done. And he like still is able to react and get up and like, bitch, you think you about to leave? And the fear in her face, like, is this motherfucker like surpassing time right now? And like the whole fear, like every dragon is coming to try to save her right now because they like, oh no, she about to die. Like this dude is doing some crazy shit right now. You gotta watch it. Like what this anime is so fucking good. I'm surprised a lot more people don't talk about it. I can kind of see it's a little slow when I'm talking about the dubbing process of it. And it's kind of like those animes in the background. I don't really see anybody talking about it, but it's really good. Pretty good.
I'm definitely going to check it out. Who mentioned that? Alberto, a friend of mine that we had on to give his favorite anime of the year. He had that on his list.
Okay.
So I've heard about it and people hyped it up. My Netflix bias again kind of was like, I added it to my list, but I didn't start it. I'm like, yeah, I'll get around to it. But yeah, man, after your endorsement, I want to check that out.
You definitely do.
I want to check it out.
All right. For the last one, is there any other anime you wanted to talk about real quick? Or
oh boy. Let me throw out one more real quick, man. Like I said, I could do this all day because I love to talk. But this one again, this had like a really weird start point because it kind of started more towards the end of the winter season, but Ninja Kamui.
Oh, yeah, I gotta get.
Yeah,
that shit is pretty good. It has that whole John Wick feel to it.
Yeah. It's like I tell the people, it's the Punisher with ninjas. It's the Punisher with ninjas. I love this show. It's a bloody good time. Yes. It's your typical like we killed your family. I want to avenge them type deals. Mm-hmm. But it's just a really fun watch. It's a really fun watch. Tsunami kind of does the thing with these like original animes. Like this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is just an original anime. There's no manga or light novel or anything. Mm-hmm. So it's always refreshing to see like those originals come up. And like I said, there's nothing like outstanding to it. Like it's just the dude's family died and he wants his revenge. But I believe the director of Jujutsu Kaisen Zero is directing the show. So like again, visually stunning. The fight scenes are outstanding. You get swords in this, so this goes into our swordsmen discussion, and just a fun show, man. I just keep looking forward to it, and I'm definitely encouraging people, if you're not queasy about blood and killing, to watch this show.
Yeah, this is probably one of the best shows where it comes to like fighting choreography.
Yes,
it's the word I'm trying to say, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It's fucking amazing. When I say it gives off a John Wick feel, it really does. I mean, the whole like you come in, kill something that's mine. Now I'm coming back to come for you type shit. And he comes for these motherfuckers. It seemed like their best route was just to leave this man alone. Like, we know you out there, but just leave this man alone, because he has come with a vengeance, and it's been nasty ever since the first episode. And there's actually something I have to give props to my brother for, because it was something he had hit me up with. He was like, "Oh, somebody had told me to watch Ninja Kamui or Kamui, I don't know what's the right name for it." And I was like, "Oh, let me look into it." And then when I looked up the Netflix, the trailer looked good. I was like, okay, it seemed like be action packed. Then I turned on the first episode, and then when you're watching it, if you watch so many animes and movies, you kind of feel the route is kind of going. You know what I mean? You're like, okay, yeah, they about to fuck up.
more.
Because you're sitting in the beginning when they said like, oh, okay, there's been this attack, then there's been this attack. You sit there like, oh shit. I do think the most interesting thing, though, I think they could have did was if they could have made the mom had a little bit more fight action scenes, because they did say she was a ninja too, and I felt like they let her just go out like nothing. Like maybe she did more before he came up there to the room, because we don't know exactly everything that happened, but she just kind of just got stabbed in the neck. So I kind of wish we could have gotten like some more with that. But the hospital
they did that a little more. They touched on it a little more in the last episode, I think.
Okay, I might have to go back and see.
They touched on her past, and like they kind of alluded to what happened in the room, but they didn't go fully into it. But you definitely see her like in the past and her skill. So
man, we definitely got to see. But man, it's pretty good for something I didn't really give a lot of attention to at the beginning. It surprised me. And low key, that's one of those stories where if you just give it the right amount of like good substance, it could be a contender for anime of the year. If it keep going the route it's going, you got to keep going with the action pack though. That's the staple. Yeah. The story is secondary, but the staple is that action. How they moving and grooving, and that is fucking phenomenal. Like, if I could do any work with anime, that's the parts of anime I would want to be in. It's like the fight scenes and trying to figure out the best way to make these fighters move and what styles would be better shown in this type of fighting situation. And I always say this, though, I feel like it's more easier to make great fights with regular hand-to-hand sword gun combat. Once you start adding powers and all that other stuff, that's when it gets harder. Because now you got to fucking try to like visualize and think about how this would actually look versus like something we already have like an imagery for. So now I'm just kind of speeding it up type shit. That's just my concept for it, and basically shows you guys that, yeah, you should go watch Ninja Community.
I agree.
And with that, we end today's episode. And I want to thank you for coming on. I basically want to tell everybody, if you like the episode, please to like and subscribe wherever you guys are listening. I am going to post the links to my guests right below. I'm going to let you plug yourself, basically let everybody know where they can find you.
Well, man, thank you for having me on. This was a long time coming. First time, but hopefully it won't be the last, man. We'll connect. We'll do pod for pod or whatever, man. Anytime you need me, just call on me. The 950 Club podcast. Just search it on Instagram. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We podcast. It's available wherever you listen to your podcast, but we also have it on YouTube, Spotify, iHeart, all that. Come by, man. We're always looking for new guests, man. So we just want to open invite for anybody. And thanks again, Raysean, for the invite, man. And I listened to your last episode. I heard the news of you finally getting into that convention stage with the panel. So, man, congrats, man. I'm happy to hear that, and because I was pushing for you to get on there. So I'm happy to hear that you're going to be a part of one, man, and I hope it goes well, man. I'll definitely be tapping in with you to see how that goes, and if we get one, I will definitely extend an invite to you to come on up, man.
Man, hopefully. I'm still praying, fingers crossed, that everything gets confirmed with the one that I'm doing, because they had sent us an invite, but I'm still waiting for them to like confirm that we're actually going to be there, because that's the one thing I'm waiting for. Other than that, I'm hyped for it too, man. Just to talk about some Dragon Ball with some people. I've been like kind of afraid of the public speaking aspect of it, but I've been leaning more towards like, man, it could probably be one person, 5 people, 10 people. So I'm not going to even worry about it no more. I'm pretty sure if it's talking about anime, I can get out of my comfort zone after a few minutes or something to talk about some shit I love. You know what I mean?
It'll be, look, man, it'll be natural, man. You'll be up there with people that you know. So that's that makes it a whole lot easier, because then it just feels like you're having a conversation. And look, man, when you see people come in or you see people in those seats, man, they'll just kind of naturally give you, and you would think that it'll make you want to draw in a little bit, but it'll naturally give you confidence. Like, wow, people are really coming here. They just want to hear me talk about this. It'll give you more of it'll give you that energetic jolt. So, man, I definitely want you to have that experience, man. So I'm happy.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. And with that, I want to say,